Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to get back to work. Apparently, we've picked up a strange signal on our sensors.
Quite all right, Admiral. And what did your sensors show?
Well, nothing at first, but the long-range sensors revealed...
Whoa. I am sorry. Are you trying to say the word sensors? Because to me, you're saying sensors. What is that?
But that's how it's said. Sensors. Everyone knows that.
Sensors. Yes, that's right. It sounds right to me.
Me too. I say it like that.
What? No, you don't. This is nuts. Yo, she's making fun of you, dummy. She didn't say sensors.
Well, of course I do. Stop it.
Is this how your crew treats authority? When it's known I mispronounce things? Are you really making fun of me?
Admiral, no. I thought we came to an understanding.
Maybe you need to adjust your sensors.
Would you just stop?
I have never been shown such disrespect. Is she yawning?
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Deep Space Pride, a gay Star Trek podcast. I am one of your hosts, Johnson, and with me is my co-host, Mike. Say hi, Mike.
Hi, Mike. No. Hi, Johnson. How are you? Lols. Oh, that's such a bad joke. Yeah. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I'm a little bloated right now, actually. I just had a late lunch, but my GI tract is kind of handling it. But otherwise, I'm fine.
That might have been a little too much information for our listeners.
Yes. I'm all about sharing what's going on inside my body at all times.
There you go.
How's your day been so far?
It's been good. I got up and ran at 7:30 this morning.
Oh, look at you, so productive. Wait, what? 7:30?
7:30.
To what end? Why so early?
I was awake on and off throughout the night because my body
Bad dreams.
No, my body was screaming at me because I did this HIIT workout with Tony and the gang last night.
Do you have abs yet?
No, I do not have abs yet. No.
Oh, okay. Wait, I can't believe you went to that workout that Tony
did
organizes.
Yeah.
How was it?
It was tough. It was an hour-long HIIT workout, and I'm still sore as we record right now. But yes, I took a couple of Tylenol before I went to bed, and I woke up like 4 hours later, and my whole upper half of my body was like screaming at me. Like,
your body is like, what is this exertion?
What is this exercise that you have done to me? So I was awake, and I just decided I needed to get a run in first thing to start the day off, and so I did, and it was fine. I mean, it was sprinkling a little bit. I got it before. I don't think it's really rained today, like since this morning, like
it was
early
kind of
morning.
Overcast.
Yeah, I mean, after I did a little work this morning, and then I walked to Chelsea to have lunch, and it was sprinkling a little bit, but at no time. I mean, I used the umbrella because it was sprinkling pretty consistently, but not like rainy. It was enough where I was getting wet, but not
fascinating.
I know.
This
is
a lot of information about the weather.
This is a lot of
weekly weather reports brought to you by Star Trek.
So anyway, yes, but it's super muggy out.
I haven't been outside today, so
it's like
I can neither confirm nor deny.
No, I came back from lunch and I took another shower because I was sweaty from just walking. So yes, but I've had a busy day, and here we are podcasting, and
here we are yet again.
And we are excited to talk about more Star Trek. I mean, the funny thing is, and I think we have to be better about this, is that we talk offline an awful lot about Star Trek.
I know. And then it's like, wait, what did we talk about? I don't remember. Wait, what did we actually record versus what would we talk about over text or Slack or in person?
Exactly. I think that's the funny part, is that we can't keep track of what we talk about offline versus online. So we need to figure out a better way to do that so that our dear listeners are not hearing us repeat things that we've already talked about. But anyway, so
We'll
we
get there
figured
one day.
we will, and I think we figured out what we haven't talked about online on camera, on mic.
Sure.
On mic. So
Anyway. So yeah, why don't we get into what we Star Trek this week? So Mike, why don't you go first? What did you Star Trek this week?
well, I'm continuing my Voyager watch.
Your Voyager
rewatch.
Renaissance.
Yeah. So I think last time we recorded, I talked a little bit about Year of Hell, and
Supposedly. I think we did. I'm pretty sure 99% sure that we talked about URL.
hopefully we did, yes. So now we're, I skipped ahead a little bit and actually went to Message in a Bottle, which is actually one of my favorite Voyager episodes. Mainly
Which one was that? Can you remind me?
I will. So Voyager stumbles upon this network, and this network shows them that there's a starship in the Alpha Quadrant within range of this network.
Is the network Hirogen or what is it?
It is. It's the
Yes,
so
I remember something.
it is. So and here's my theory, and I don't know. It's the Hirogen use it, but I think that it's been around a lot longer than the Hirogen have been. I think they kind of co-opted it as their network and took ownership of it. I don't know that they created it because I don't think they've been that far into. Obviously, they haven't been that far into the Alpha Quadrant, so I don't understand. So I think this is an alien thing that they've kind of taken on as their own. But anyway, so
Possibly.
the doctor, so in order to reach the ship and tell them, that they're alive, they send the doctor through the network, and he arrives on the starship Prometheus.
Oh, and this is when he interacts with the other EMH.
Yeah,
that's kind of skittery.
Yes,
A little nervous.
Yeah, Andy Dick plays the EMH Mark II, and so it's it was an enjoyable episode. Obviously, I love starship porn. So obviously we get to see a new ship design, which we don't often get to see, and we get to see some Romulans. And it was just a really enjoyable episode. I enjoyed it. And I
love the Doctor episodes. Actually, they're usually pretty good.
Yeah, I think he, and we've talked before about this. He's kind of one of those characters in Voyager that actually got quite a bit of development.
Mm-hmm.
So, this was enjoyable. Just enjoyable, even though I don't really like Andy Dick as a person,
as a human being.
As a human, I was gonna say that. He's a little too crass for me, and kind of out there, and really out there, I think. He did play this character really well, and does kind of show the, it's definitive of how the EMH Mark I has evolved beyond the EMH Mark II, or its original concept. And the EMH Mark II is much more skittery and kind of by the book, and which is interesting. So,
well, the EMH Mark II was, I think, it was almost Julian Bashir, if you recall. I don't know if you remember that episode.
I don't know.
No, on DS9. So do you remember the episode where basically they out Julian as being genetically modified? That was the episode, because essentially Robert Zimmerman, Dr. Zimmerman, Robert Picardo, whatever. Dr. Zimmerman comes to DS9 to do a profile on Julian Bashir because they're doing another version of the EMH. And then as part of it, Dr. Zimmerman kind of goes into, his whole psychological profile. He interviews people he knows, but then that turns out he also interviews Julian's parents. And then that's where all his background about being genetically modified comes in. So he was almost the EMH Mark II.
Oh, that would have been actually really interesting to have him be on.
Yeah, that would have been interesting.
That would have been interesting. So watch that, and then I continued on with Hunter and Prey, which is our Hirogen episodes, and then on to what we texted a little bit about, which was Retrospect. which is kind of the controversial episode about memory and trauma. And I don't know how I feel about it, to be honest. I don't necessarily feel great about how they treated Seven in this episode.
Well, I think it's supposed to explore all this like gray area, right? So
Right, yeah. That's where I left off with my Voyager kind of rewatch. That was kind of heavy. And I think, what did I switched to something funny after that. Oh, I went back. I was texting you and I went back to...
Did you want Lower Decks or something?
I watched Lower Decks again. I watched
Yeah.
episode 3 again because it was enjoyable and funny and I needed something a little less serious to watch. So
Yeah.
that's pretty much my Star Trek this week. What did you Star Trek, Johnson?
I'm watching a lot of Enterprise. I'm up to episode 17 of season 1.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
I think in the past week I watched like 10 episodes.
Wow. Yeah.
So it's been a lot.
Yeah.
I feel, this is my first rewatch of Enterprise. I do think that it's kind of underrated. I mean, like there are some episodes of season 1 that are kind of like really boring. Like, honestly, like, I'm like, where is this episode going? And then not that much happens. I'm trying to remember like the boring episodes. I honestly can't remember them because they're that boring. Like it was not memorable. But I do think that Enterprise is underrated. I think that given how most season 1s go, I think that the crew actually kind of develops like camaraderie pretty quickly. And they kind of seem to have relatively good chemistry in season 1 versus like some other season 1s. So yeah, I feel it's a little underrated. I mean, like, we'll see how it goes. I'm almost at the end of season 1, but I'm probably gonna watch the whole thing in the next month or so. So I'm trying to think. I'm actually a big fan of T'Pol. I really like her a lot. Like Jolene Blalock. I can't say her last name. Blalock? Laylock?
Maybe. I don't know.
Laylock? I don't know. She's like a little like she's very, I mentioned this to you, I think she's very underrated as an actress. The first, I would say, half of season 1, she interprets the Vulcan non-emotional state as kind of just very like a little bit scowly and kind of pouty. Like she's kind of just like purses her lips a little bit, and that's her non-emotional state. But I do think that she becomes like more comfortable in the role, and she's actually very good. I just think I mentioned this on last podcast. I just think it's unfortunate that they, had to put her in this like cat suit, like and like, like really like sex her up. And I feel that it's like she was given this role for obviously the sex appeal aspect. I'm sure they auditioned her and she was great as an actress, but I feel that in some ways she was kind of given the character, like she was given a disadvantage in the character because, and I think that I'm sure Jerry Ryan kind of felt this too. Like she had to like figure out like how to position the character and come and make a fully fleshed character when they're kind of put into this position as a sex object, honestly. But
that's funny because I don't think of T'Pol as a sexy character, really.
I mean, there was one episode, Shuttle Pod 1, where Trip and Malcolm Reed they're basically stuck on a shuttle and they think they're going to die. And at some point they just, they start drinking. They find like a bottle of bourbon on the shuttle and they start drinking. And they're like, a few days into, they think the Enterprise is astride and they think that this is it. And they get really drunk. And then at one point, so there's 2 points. One point, Malcolm has a dream about T'Pol. And then another point in the episode, he's just drunk, right? And he's talking to Trip and he's like, so do you think T'Pol is really pretty? And then Trip was like, what? And then Malcolm was like, have you ever noticed her bum? I'm like, what? Get out of here. Like, it was kind of, I think, I don't know, it was like supposed to be kind of like self-referential and kind of making fun of the fact that she's a sex object or what. But I mean, her cat suit, definitely emphasizes certain body parts. So I don't know. I don't think that she's necessarily like the same kind of sex object as Seven was, but at the same time, I don't know. In any case, I've watched a lot of Enterprise.
Yes, you have. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. I don't really think of her as a sex object, and I guess I'd have to go back and think of.
I think you should rewatch season 1 and come back.
Well, if the problem, the challenge around season 1 was they're really trying to show the beginnings of the Federation and of Starfleet, and what I don't think the writers kind of took into effect was you skip over the boring parts. Like if you're telling the history of it, you don't need to tell us the low points. So I think they were really trying to convey a sense of what is space travel like in these early days, where warp 5 is the maximum and most ships go warp 1, maybe a little past warp 1. So, I think that they fell back too much on the science and built that into the story a little too much. The other thing too is, obviously writing back then was different. And so they were, following the same tropes of the Next Generation.
Right.
Deep Space Nine and Voyager, the seven, supposedly, even though Enterprise never made it, this 7-year season or series, right? So, building up, I don't want to get into I don't want to cross-pollinate here, but in the same way that if you are a Star Wars fan for a long time, you might think that The Last Jedi, which was the second in this new trilogy, was just a very slow, like you never do a slow space chase. Essentially, that's boring, and I think at times that's what where Enterprise season 1 kind of fell into, is like this slow, like it takes a while to get places because we're only going warp 5 or warp 4.5 or
I'm actually okay with some of that stuff. It's more like there were episodes that just seem like such filler, like, and nothing really like. There was one episode where they were on a planet and then they started going like a little crazy or something like that because there was like this this crazy pollen. I don't know. Like there was and they were all starting to get really paranoid. I'm like, where is this going? And then they were fine. Like, I don't know. Yeah. Like it was just so. It is a very like just like I think it goes along the lines of what we're saying. It's a very typical problem of the week, like trope that they need to like fill. Like you need to fill like a quota of 26 episodes. After a while, it's like, all right, let's just like recycle this particular idea. Yeah, and it's like, all right. Like,
well, and they're trying to show space exploration and the early days of space exploration beyond what, where humans might have been in a few colonies or whatever. So, yeah.
So a lot of Enterprise this week. I also rewatched Star Trek 6 because
you mentioned it last podcast about how many times you've watched Star Trek 6.
And now I rewatched it.
Now you watched +1.
And it's really funny because in the episode that we're going to talk about of Lower Decks, so at one point this admiral comes on and he pronounces censor as censor, and Mariner makes fun of it. But McCoy says censor in Star Trek 6.
Really?
Yeah. So it's like towards the end when they're trying to track down. They're basically trying to create a homing missile to hit the Klingon ship.
Correct.
And McCoy and Spock are basically quote unquote operating on this torpedo.
Right.
And they connect a sensor. And then McCoy says sensor. And I was like, wait a minute. I was like, are they trying to make fun of that? Like, I don't know if in the original series, like McCoy ever said sensor that way, but
yeah,
he did. And I've noticed it before too on previous rewatches of Star Trek 6 that he pronounced it that way. I thought it was very odd. And this also came up in Lower Decks, so I don't know.
Well, clearly now we'll be looking out for this in the future. Now anytime anyone says censors, we'll all be laughing thanks to Lower Decks.
Yeah. So should we talk about this episode?
Yeah, if that's your
I'm done talking about what I've Star Trek for the week, other than Lower Decks, obviously.
Well, it's funny because you mentioned Star Trek 6, and I started watching Star Trek 2 But
okay.
I got interrupted with dinner and other things. So while I was waiting for Dennis to come home, I was watching Star Trek 2 for a little while.
Oh, I should probably rewatch Wrath of Khan. It's been a while.
It is by far my favorite, and it's
I mean, a lot happens more than what happens in the motion picture. That's for sure.
For sure, yes. And I'm going to share a slightly embarrassing story about this. I actually wrote my college essay about Star Trek 2. I have no idea what I wrote about it. Yeah, exactly.
Wait, is this a college that you got into?
Yeah, I wrote it to my college.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it was. So I've been.
This is fascinating. Now I need to know what was.
I don't remember. I'll have to.
Oh.
I don't, because it was before computers. I mean, it was not before computers. I had a.
Did you have a word processor?
I had a word processor.
Yes.
Correct. Yes.
So I did as well.
So if I have a hard copy of it, it's probably back in my parents and in a file somewhere. Yeah, but I do remember that I did write about Star Trek 2 in my college entrance essays. So,
but you don't remember anything about it?
I do not remember anything about it. So
that's
it'll be fascinating to someday find that and come across that. But I don't have any immediate plans to go back to my parents' house in Maine and search through
paper to find your college essay.
Yeah. So, although I'm fairly sure that it is there somewhere.
Fascinating.
Yeah. So, but yeah, are you ready to spill the Trek on this week's episode of Star Trek Lower Decks?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Carol.
You did not just call me Carol.
Whatever, Carol.
Let's talk a little bit about Moist Vessel.
Cool. So I'll go first. So I thought I liked this episode. I didn't love it. But I enjoyed some of the tropes that they employed. I think the thing that I liked most about the episode was definitely the interaction between Mariner and Captain Freeman, and this is what we were talking about last time. I think this is what we were kind of hoping for, that we would kind of explore more about their relationship and understand the background a little bit more. I do think there's definitely more to explore there. I think it's interesting, and I mentioned this to you separately, but I think it's interesting that no one else has really acknowledged that they're mother-daughter. And I wonder whether or not, I know you don't think it's common knowledge, right?
I don't. And then my basis for that would be the conversation that Ransom and Freeman have in the ready room after she pieces out, right?
And he's like, why do you keep her around?
Yes, exactly.
But I just don't know how you keep something like that a secret in the 24th century. Like, when information is so prevalent nowadays, let alone within like a military structure or some sort, like, I would think that information, like personal information like that, is commonplace. But, like I think I agree with you. I just think it's odd. That
I think so.
No.
Right. I think it comes down to the fact that this is not like the Enterprise, right? So the Enterprise obviously is touted as the best of the best. And I'm not saying that these aren't good people, but maybe they're just not as detail oriented, looking through personnel records and knowing exactly, Ransom doesn't strike me as someone who's sitting down like Riker would and studying some of the bridge crew or, getting to know the crew in that kind of depth. He's not a deep person. As far as, he's a good first officer. That's not to say that he's not, but he's just not going through and reading everyone's profile. And also, I think we've talked a little bit about this. I think that there's either been something between the two of them or between Mariner and Ransom, based upon how they talk to each other on the planet where they fought.
You just think there's some sort of...
They have some history.
Baggage?
I think they've either hooked up before they served together or
really?
Something.
I thought what we saw in Temporal Edict would be potentially the start of it, but you think that they're retreading old ground potentially?
I think that there is, I think that we're going to learn that there is a previous This is my guess. Based upon the line that he says in the cage, he says, I have no scars.
Oh, interesting.
So that is the only, I mean, if you didn't pick up on that line, that is definitively what I'm basing this off from. He doesn't go around shirtless on the ship. She wouldn't know that. So I think that's an indication that they've had a previous relationship.
Yeah, I mean, I remember that line, but I thought that maybe he was just, he's vain and he wouldn't. I mean, there's no reason to have a scar with the
24th century
level of dermatology, right. Dermatology expertise in the 21st century, and Mariner specifically wanted to keep her scars,
right?
So I thought that it was just a matter of
and I think
he knows that he's a vain guy. He knows that other people recognize that, and he's like, why would I keep a scar?
I mean, maybe that's also a possibility. The other thing too is I think that it happened a while ago because she describes all of her scars, and if they had a relationship or had some sort of hookup in prior, it would be before she had done all these missions where she got all these scars. So that's my estimation. I mean, and also in this episode, I don't know if you noticed, but the way that she threw his specific pad in front of him in the briefing was different than he was just, and he kind of looked at her, gave her some side eye, annoyed, but it was a little it looked, from what I remember, and we just watched this
more than the other officers.
I noticed it with her and Ransom. I didn't pay attention as closely when she was doing it for the other ones, but there was definitely a little something there. So my feeling is that they have a prior existing relationship.
Interesting. Okay. We'll see. We have 6 more episodes of season 1 too.
We do, yeah. And he's
working mystery.
Yeah, and Mike McMahon is working on season 2, without which we've listened to the interview with Chuck Geeks, our executive producers, where he said that he is not really paying attention to the internet scuttle while he writes season 2. So
yeah, he honestly shouldn't.
No, he shouldn't.
Not worth it.
I think people, yeah. Why go searching for trolls? We're not going to go searching for trolls when this is out here. Whatever.
Whatever.
I mean, there's a thing called the delete button and ignore you. You don't have to listen. Everything people do is a choice. And if you're choosing to watch a show and hate it, why would you do that? There are, as I say to Dennis all the time, there are 7,000 shows to watch. Why do you have to watch the show that either you hate or the one that we're watching together? In the case
people just like to complain about things. They just need something to complain about. That's it.
It's true. So what else stood out for you in the episode?
Yeah, Boimler had less of a role in this episode, but I loved the drama. When Mariner was promoted in the conference room, and he is like, "Is this real? Is this real?" And he's freaking out. I love that. He's just having a meltdown. Yeah. And then later, he's trying to figure out why Mariner got promoted and he didn't. He's trying to be naughty. Basically, he's like, "Oh, I need to basically mess up or do something." And then he's getting called to the bridge, and he's like, "They're gonna get what they deserve." And the person's like, "What? What are you talking about?" Over the comm. And then he's like, "Oh, sorry, I'm just a holodeck Moriarty or something." It's a random Moriarty call out. I was like, that's funny. But no, he's just he doesn't have a prominent role in this episode, but I did like his meltdown and his just overreaction and just his general drama, which I really do like about Boimler.
You do.
Some people might actually find it really annoying, but that I find that to be endearing because we relate in that regard. The Tendi and Rutherford plot line I thought was fine. I do like the thing I do enjoy about Tendi in this episode is we found out more about her and how she's a people pleaser, and I get that, and I like that aspect of her, and they're kind of trying to flesh that out in her character. The whole Ascension thing was kind of random. I mean, kind of does go back to all these like Star Trek tropes, like these species or individuals that shed their physical bodies and become non-corporeal or whatever. But yeah, I didn't know if it really worked that well, but I do like how we kind of explored her character a little bit. So, but those were some of the things that stood out for me for this episode. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, since we're on the Tendi piece, I was all right. I mean, I didn't, I'm not a huge fan of people pleasers. And she was kind of psychotic about it, but
she was crazy.
Even at the end when she's choking Rutherford because she wants to know who doesn't like her. I mean, that's just a little extreme. Rutherford we barely saw any of in this episode.
I know. I want more Rutherford at some point.
Yeah, for sure. But it was nice to see her highlighted and also Mariner. Just as a little bit of a difference rather than the Mariner Boimler show. So that was good. But I wasn't too crazy about the whole Ascension thing. I thought it was a little much. And it's interesting, we don't even know how she got invited to this Ascension thing. Like there's no pre-story to just kind of tell you how she got invited to it, and the whole his whole plan was to make her mess it up so he could kind of get off the hook from ascending. Right. But I really did enjoyed the back and forth between Mariner and her mom. That was enjoyable. Like the it got a little tiresome, but it was still really well written and really
she was a little bit legit annoying at some point.
The mom was.
No, I'm thinking Mariner.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that. She was definitely over the top in several places. But when she got with her mom, Captain Freeman, then I actually thought that Captain Freeman was a little bit over the top with the mommy aspect of it, trying to tell her, get a different rock.
Yeah.
I mean, that was just I was sort of on Mariner's side with I was like, what the hell are you telling me to get a different, micromanaging her daughter just seems a little bit much. And her daughter's, obviously in her mid-20s or early to mid-20s. So she's, she's been a lot of places, done a lot of things. And it's she got kind of bounced back to her mom's ship for various reasons. But it's just interesting that, Captain Freeman treats her this way. So you kind of get a little bit of insight. It's overprotective mom. Hello, millennial parents. Or millennials parents anyway. Helicopter parents. So that got a little annoying, but it was nice to see them come together and solve the problem. And really it was nice to see Captain Freeman see show Mariner some respect for what she had done.
Right.
So that was really nice to see. That was a nice change, although it was very short-lived.
Yeah.
And then of course Captain Freeman takes it extreme and says mother-daughter thing of why wouldn't she know that would drive her daughter crazy? I don't know, but it clearly did, and hence the demotion and the incident with the Admiral.
Yeah.
And censors. So
I have a question about the promotion. So and maybe I missed something, or maybe I just don't understand uniforms, but she got a yellow uniform even though she's still command division. So I was so confused about that because she got an extra pip and she was upgraded to lieutenant, but I don't know why she got a yellow uniform.
I don't know either. No understanding.
Because she's not engineering or tactical. So I was a little bit unsure about that, but I'm not sure if I missed something.
Yeah, I mean, we don't really, so none of these ensigns really have, they're all kind of assistants, right? They're kind of entry-level jobs that aren't bridge officers or, and I think you could be a bridge officer and not be senior staff. You could, you got to have a pilot and, I guess, I don't know. But anyway.
This also poses the question as to who's technically senior staff.
Right.
I don't even know what now I'm confused as to what level you technically need to be invited to the senior staff meetings.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, there was definitely some confusion around that. I think it was more just a little change up of the costume. Maybe, I don't know. I have no idea. Other than, yeah, did bother me, but it didn't. I just kind of went with it after that. And maybe it's something like when you're in management training, you kind of go through all the different departments, and
Is it?
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's a So anyway,
but we didn't talk about the actual big thing of the week, which was the generation ship. Which
right.
I did enjoy that because it felt very Star Trek.
Yeah.
Like even the mission briefing at the beginning felt very like TNG mission briefing,
Yeah.
like here's what we are here for. Here's what's going on. I mean, before Mariner interrupted, but I actually really enjoyed it. And I was like, I want to know more. I don't know how sciencey it is. Like, this like goo, this terraforming goo that just makes inorganic material into organic material. But then like it did bother me that at the end they just they were able to reverse everything. I'm like, that seems dubious to me. But I did like that whole problem of the week for this episode.
Yeah, I mean, it was. Yeah, I would have liked to have seen more of that. Actually, I would have liked to have seen more exploration of the generation ship or something along that lines. But it was it definitely brought it back to just the Cerritos and what happens there. So yeah, I mean, it was a good story beginning, right? But it really didn't go much further than the goo getting.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I'm seeing with many of these episodes so far, especially given the short time frame, is that it's this premise that then gets into, it puts the characters into specific situations, and it's about the character development and obviously what they go through versus, like, I think at least if you have a 45 minutes, like there's more to delve into the mystery or, whatever it is, but they don't really do that as much when they have like 23 minutes or so.
True. And it's a comedy. So, I mean, it's, it's going to be comedy with the backdrop of Star Trek, right?
Right.
So, yeah. Trying to think if there's anything else. I can't say that there were a lot of outstanding quotes in this one. I'd asked you before we started recording if you thought of any really funny lines in this. I mean, there wasn't anything super outstanding for me in this. And again, we've both only watched it twice. We've watched the other episodes significantly more than that. But I thought that I agree with your original premise at the top, which was it was good but not great. And that's kind of how I feel about it. I wouldn't say it's my favorite. It's definitely not my favorite of the season. And I'm hoping that it's already seeming like, interestingly enough, the odd numbered episodes are the better ones for me. And also there was a little discussion online about the whole idea of moist vessel, like the theme of the episode being a little weird. I know some people. I mean, moist is an interesting word. So yes. So, but I mean, what would you give the overall rating of the episode at?
I think I would give it like a 7.5. So so it's like good, good, decent, not great. Yeah, 7.5 or so. What about you?
I was gonna give it a 7.
Okay.
So
I give it a higher score this time.
Yeah, you definitely enjoyed this a little bit more.
Marginally more.
Marginally more, yeah. Well, all right. So there we go. We've spilt a Trek on the latest episode of Lower Decks.
Awesome. Should we get into some off topic?
Yeah, let's talk a little off topic.
Computer, hit it.
Hitting it.
Yeah, so Mike, what else are you watching, reading?
Well, so this week I rewatched Torchwood, the season 3 5-parter Children of Earth, and I actually really enjoyed it.
It was really good. I mean, I think I watched it back when it first premiered, and it's been a while.
Well,
But
so
it was very good.
I went back and tried to, it's from 2009. So obviously the world was a completely different place. That gives you a little bit of context about how old this is. It still holds up. It's still a very good, compelling story.
Yeah.
And I didn't remember a lot
of
about
moral
it.
questions.
A lot of moral questions, a lot of political questions, a lot of history as far as things coming back to bite you from 40 years earlier. Not only for the guest starring characters, but also obviously for Captain Jack. So but I enjoyed it. I pretty much binge watched it 2 episodes, 2 episodes, an episode and a half, and then
Sorry, is 5 or 6 episodes?
It's 5. So
5.
I watched it over 3 nights. So
Wait, did you watch it with Dennis?
Yeah, parts of it I did watch with Dennis. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he let me watch it in the sense of like it wasn't something where he was like completely bored with it, but he also wasn't getting deep into it. So it wasn't something that we needed to watch together, but we did end up watching it together as
not like Indian Matchmaker.
Correct. Or Rust Valley Restorers, which we continue to watch. Right. So then after that ended, I did put on a favorite episode of mine from Doctor Who, which was Partners in Crime, where we meet again Donna Noble in her first episode of her season 4. So I really adore that matchup of David Tennant and Catherine Tate. So it is.
I have no idea what we're talking about.
No, I know, but it was definitely my favorite, one of my favorite seasons of Doctor Who, modern Doctor Who.
I didn't really start watching Doctor Who until Matt Smith came on, and then I dropped off after a while.
Yeah, I've been a lifelong Whovian, Doctor Who fan, and but David Tennant and Catherine Tate are by far 2 of the best couplings, and I think that my main reason for loving the 2 of them together is because my problem with Rose and Martha before Donna was that they kind of fell in love with the Doctor.
Oh.
And so I really never really identified with that. I never saw that in the classic Doctor Who. So it was always kind of a piece of it was disconcerting to me. I don't know whether that's a gay thing or whether it's just that I liked my companions to be companions and not love interests for the Doctor. So, or not for the Doctor, but in love with the Doctor. So, so it's definitely one of my favorites. It was just kind of like fun to watch. Partners in Crime with the Adipose, and those of you who watch Doctor Who will know what I mean. But that's pretty much it. I'm trying to think. The only other news off topic that I'm excited about that happened today actually was I've got 2 Lego sets coming to me.
Oh my god. Okay. Where are these?
So one is the one I ordered a month ago that they charged my card, so it must be shipping, which is the Razor Crest from The Mandalorian.
Okay.
So that is going to be shipping to me, and then my mom helped me get a special set from the Bespin Duel, which is when Darth Vader and Luke are fighting in Cloud City. Yes, in Cloud City. And it's the moment where he reveals that he is Luke's father. So, and it's already sold out. It's a special edition set. So, So
where are you going to put these?
I do not know. I don't know yet.
Because they take a lot of real estate after you're done with them.
They can, yes.
Yeah.
I did find a company that does build display cases
oh my God.
for them. So I know.
More junk. You
It
have
is
you
not
get junk to put your junk in.
Oh my gosh! Stop with junk. It's not all junk. We
I'm
cannot
just
all.
saying. I'm just saying.
We cannot all be. There. I like a few trinkets here and there. So.
All right. You know what? Two Lego sets are not just trinkets. That's a lot.
Well, those would be the last. I have no plans to get any other sets. So, and I may leave the Bespin set in its box for the time being. We'll see, but the Razor Crest, when it comes, it will be built because I do love the Mandalorian.
Wonderful.
There we go. What about you? What off-topic things have you been watching? I know you've. I don't know how you've watched anything else. If you've watched 10 episodes of Enterprise since we last recorded.
I haven't watched honestly anything else. Next week there'll be stuff for me to watch because The Boys season 2 is coming out.
Yeah.
Mulan is coming out.
Oh, are you gonna pay the $30 to see that?
Yeah, I might do like a small gathering that you're not invited to. But yes,
because of what?
I was just trying to mumble my way through that. But yes, I might do like a small Mulan gathering. I might order Chinese food. I'm Chinese, so it's okay. But it needs to be Americanized Chinese food. It can't be legit Chinese food because it's like how Mulan, this movie is like an Americanized Chinese movie. It's like
it's Disney-fied.
We need to stick with the theme here. I want my mushu chicken. I want my I don't know what else. My General So's.
Yeah. General Cows, General
Happy
So's.
Buddha. I don't know. Whatever.
Okay.
Whatever.
All right.
Whatever Americanized Chinese food there is.
I'm not insulted about not being invited. I'm sure that the guest list is a strict.
Well, I mean, especially with
Asian people.
No. What? No way.
I'm kidding.
No, it's more like I'm with social distancing. I'm restricting how many people I'm having over. Even this year for Thanksgiving, I usually have larger gatherings up to 10 people. I don't think that's going to be a thing this year. TBD.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, and also I'm excited for Raised by Wolves.
You've brought that to my attention. It's on HBO Max. I have, and I've in front of every episode of Torchwood, there was an ad for it, so I can't.
Yeah, so I'm excited for that. Ridley Scott can be very hit or miss, so I don't know. I mean, the promos seem interesting. I really like the first trailer. The second trailer, revealed some more plot-wise, how basically it's a little bit science versus religion, which is very traditional, but there's a little bit of that. So I'm interested to see where Ridley Scott takes it. I mean, at the very least, it's going to look beautiful because Ridley Scott is a great cinematographer, filmmaker.
Right.
And he directed the first 2 episodes, so I'm ready to at least be blown away from the visuals. Okay. In terms of how
will the visuals sell the story is the question.
We'll see.
We'll see. Will it? How long can you stay attentive to just visually beautiful scenes if the storyline or characters are not interesting or worth following? Exactly.
So we'll see where that takes us. So yes, I'll probably have more to say in our next podcast about Off Topic, but this week it was all Enterprise. Honestly, other than Star Trek, which has been my kind of fallback, I've been having problems identifying new shows to watch. I mean, there are these select few that I'm really excited for, but I had a friend of mine kind of ask me about shows, and usually I'm like, I kind of come up with some recommendations. I told him to watch The Morning Show, and he at first wasn't sure, but then he ended up really liking it.
For All Mankind, did you recommend
he
that
watched
one?
that already. He watched For All Mankind.
Yep.
He likes sci-fi, fantasy, magic. So I was like, I was thinking about it. I recommended The Bodyguard because I love The Bodyguard. But he was like, ooh, terrorism. That could be a little triggering. So I was like, all right, never mind.
What about The Magicians?
He watched.
I mean,
He's
watched it.
caught up with The Magicians. He finished all of it. I mean, there's a lot of like mediocre sci-fi and fantasy on Netflix that I'm sure he could delve into.
Right.
One show that I never got into that I wish I got into because everyone raves about it is Dark on Netflix. Actually, I don't know if you watched it. It's like this Norwegian. That might be incorrect. I don't know.
It sounds fairly accurate.
Not American. But basically, it's like mystery. It's sci-fi. There's time travel. It gets very complicated. I watched half the first season and kept on falling asleep, so that was a problem. I was hesitant to recommend that one because it's a little bit slow. But anyway, no, I've been like just kind of struggling with new programming. So I don't know. Life is hard, I guess.
Dark has 3 seasons, and it does look to be
it's only season 3 was its last one. So I don't know if I should go back. I tried twice to go back to Dark, and I made it like 2 more episodes into season 1 than my first try, and then it died. My interest died. So I don't know. I'm just like, maybe if I, you know what? I also have watched it not dubbed in the original language, of which I don't recall. I don't know if that is a factor. Usually I'm fine with subtitles, but maybe in this one, because it's a little bit slow, I don't know.
Maybe. That's certainly...
go back to that.
I mean, I'm assuming he's watched Umbrella Academy.
Oh yeah, no, he's watching Umbrella Academy.
Okay.
He's excited for The Boys.
Okay.
I don't know. Usually I used to be, I think, much more of a broad TV consumer, and now I've become much more selective with my viewing.
Right. Well, and I think I'm definitely too, which, for me, I'm wondering if this HBO series is gonna, be of interest or not. I think that we're going to have a shortage of shows very soon. I think by the end of this year, we are going to be, I would imagine that most of the programming was done for 9 months is, if you know what I'm trying to say here.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I can't say it, but I think
there's going to be a dark period in new programming, basically.
Exactly.
For a little while.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be few and far between. So I think we're going to have to go back to the classics. And I think obviously we're both Star Trek fans and we are both watching it. I've been watching intermittently here and there an animated series episode just to kind of, I don't know that I've ever watched it all the way through. So going back to Star Trek. But I think we're going to have to, kind of fall back on old shows and things that we enjoy, like Torchwood, Doctor Who, some of the classics that are, going to kind of sustain us while we get through this period of COVID life. And I mean, I can't think of anything other than Discovery. Discovery will get us through the end of 2020. And I can't think of anything that's anticipated that we were anticipating that would have come out in early 2021. So I don't think that we're going to have any real new television to watch.
No.
In fact, Discovery is going on terrestrial CBS this fall.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. Basically, all the networks have announced their fall programs. It's basically all reality, except for a few things here and there, which are either reruns from cable or international acquisitions. Yeah. And in the case of CBS, they're going to be airing Discovery season 1.
Yeah. So I think that we're going to, I think we're going into the dark times of TV viewing. So we may have to explore these weird shows that we've tried to get into that haven't. I can't think of, there's another show like that with a child that I can't remember. I think it was Norwegian.
Wait, what?
There, a child with special gifts that it was also a Norwegian or Scandinavian show that I started watching like 2 years ago. I've never gone back to. It was a Netflix original series too, so I'll have to dig that out. But it was from abroad. I can't remember. It was probably one of their, and I still have to go back and finish watching Lost in Space season 2.
Lost in Space. I hate Lost in Space.
Oh wow,
The remake. You know why? Because I can't. Okay. Dr. Smith is so annoying. I hate Dr. Smith so much. The new one.
She's evil.
Because, well, all right. So
she's psychotic.
She's evil. Okay, but who plays her? Parker Posey, right?
Yes.
So Parker Posey has one look of disdain that's just plastered on her face. She has no other look. Every other role that she's been in, including Superman Returns, and Dr. Smith in the new Lost in Space, it's just this look. I'll actually make it for you, and I know our listeners can't look at me, but it's like, it's like this. It's like this face where her mouth is like half open, and it's like this, like just look of contempt would be the best way to put it. And I'm like,
something you would see like in an 80s movie.
I don't know. And then the Robinsons they're all idiots. Like they're smart, but they're dumb. And I can't. And it's canceled. So I'm like, thank God.
It is canceled.
Like, because I tried watching season 2. I know this is a very strong reaction, but I tried watching like 2 hours of season 2. I was like, I can't watch this anymore. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, they make all these dumb decisions. Like, get out of here.
Well, other shows that have been canceled, Altered Carbon, which had a really good
Altered Carbon. Season. I didn't need it to continue. I watched both season 1 and season 2, and
I have to go back.
I don't need more of this.
Yeah, I haven't. I've started watching season 2 a while ago and haven't really gotten into it.
It's like fine. It's like for the amount of money they put into the show, it's just mediocre sci-fi.
Yeah. Well, and the story is actually better in Prairies, I believe. So I'm pretty sure it's based on a book or books. So
I don't recall. In any case, I think that might be it for off topic.
That might be enough for off topic. I think we've covered everything that we could possibly cover in off topic. And I think we've thrown in
I haven't watched anything. We talked a lot about a lot of off topic.
I think, and I also think we sprinkled in this episode a lot of our own personal lives. I don't know. Is there anything that you want to dish with Deanna about this week?
Come in. Hi.
You got a minute?
Sure.
Yeah, what's going on with you and Dennis?
I mean, nothing that... Nothing out of the ordinary. I mean, it's just a normal week, I would say. We are planning on
wait, you guys are going to Provincetown.
We are hopefully going to Provincetown. Yes, our plans are still awaiting a semi-deadline that would keep Massachusetts off the no-fly list for New York. So that would be the...
Wait, is that like... I know you mentioned that. Is that like imminent? Is that... Are they?
Well, no, I don't think so, but we just don't know. And the problem is that the minute we do, if it does go on that list, then we're effectively screwed. So,
right.
I'm very excited to get away. First of all, I actually, it's been about 6 or 7 weeks since we were up in the Finger Lakes, and the city has gotten busier. Things are much more back to having this feeling of being back to normal here in the city. Mm-hmm. And I think part of it is I really want a breakout in nature a little bit. So,
but how did you guys decide on Provincetown? Which, by the way, until Tony mentioned it when we got together that one time, I did not even know. I'm like the worst gay ever. I didn't even know about Provincetown. I was like, what is this place? And then he started talking about it. And I was like, oh, I guess it's like another like Fire Island kind of deal. But I've never heard of it before. But then I talked to other people, including my straight friends, and they're like, Johnson, it's like a gay mecca. I'm like, what are you talking about? I've never even heard of this place before. So I've only learned of it I would say the past month.
Someone needs to get outside of his New York born and bred bubble here and realize that the world is greater. Your trips in the past have been very like extreme, like go to Australia or go far away. Like you go far away, but 5 hours away from here is a wonderful place called the Cape of Massachusetts, Cape Cod, and at the very tip Provincetown, and there are multiple ways to get there.
I mean, I'm not sure Tony was sold to me. I understand it's like this like, you know, really gay area, but then he was talking about the dock that everyone like, you know, hooks up under. Was it the dick dock, like, or something? And I was like, I don't know if that, you know, I don't know if I need that. I might need like penicillin shot afterwards. Like, I don't know, like if that's appealing or not.
Well, all right. So that is one of the more infamous parts of P-Town, but it is not. I mean, that is not what P-Town is all about. It's, you know, it's just one of those infamous stories, kind of like the Fire Island, you know, parties on Fire Island.
I've never been to Fire Island either. I'm like, you know, I'm like,
you are
talking about this, and I'm like clutching my pearls. Like, I'm like, goodness. Like, it sounds like, especially in time of Corona, I'm like a little bit much.
Yeah, so you know, it's but it is a beautiful beach. There's a wonderful town. There are wonderful people are very friendly there. It's actually one of the friendliest places in the world, I think. And
oh, goodness.
You know, so it's just a good place to get away. There's a lot of restaurants, you know, there's Commercial Street, you walk down it, there's all these little shops, you know, little artisan shops, and you know, some higher end shops. It's just there's art galleries. There's just a lot of little things. It's quite nice. It's a nice getaway. It's kind of a, you know, I think that we are overly blessed by living in New York City, where gay life is very, you know, prominent. But for a lot of people,
I'm like, I just need Hell's Kitchen. Why do I need
right. So for a lot of people, though, a nice getaway to a place where acceptance is high, and you know, sort of the foreboding of the real world is kept at bay a little bit. So I think, you know, and it's a beach. Obviously, there's beach and there's ocean and there's, you know, whale trips, whale watching and things like that. There's stuff to do, but obviously it's beach and relax.
I'm staying away from the dick dock, though. I'm going to tell you that.
Yes, I would. I've never been to the dick dock, so I've only heard of it like you have. So it's a urban legend of sorts, but it is a real thing. I mean,
like there are ghosts?
No, there's no ghosts there, but I mean, maybe there are. I don't know. I've never been, but you know, I'm
like, what is this?
I mean, maybe, but you know, so it's yeah, that's just one of the places there. I mean, there's afternoon tea, which is kind of like,
oh, I love afternoon tea. I'm all about tea time.
Probably not the same tea time that you're thinking about.
Wait,
though.
What are you talking about?
Well, afternoon tea is like you know, drinks out on the dock. It's like it's a part, like a little
not
party.
Talking about, like, small sandwiches?
No, we're not talking about the British tea time here. We're not.
All right.
Yeah.
I legit enjoy like going to tea time, like, you know, a nice pot of tea, some finger sandwiches.
I get where you're coming from. Yes, no, this is more like an afternoon party of sorts. Obviously, it would be very different in current times, but in the past, it used to be quite packed. Planter's Punch is a favorite drink of the area. So
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things for you to experience yet, and not saying I'm not recommending, I'm not saying you should go to the dick dock. That's a completely different thing, but it's a great place to go, and we're looking forward to spending some time on the beach.
Okay, do you guys have a backup in case Massachusetts is off the list?
We'll probably just go to Long Island somewhere, but it'll be very last minute, and so yeah, I don't think we're gonna. Yeah, I think we might go to Long Island to see some wineries or whatnot, but nothing.
Okay.
Or
Fun.
or out to the Hamptons maybe. I've never
Okay.
been out to the Hamptons, so something along that lines. But yeah,
Cool.
just to get away on the beach, and we were gonna bring our grill and possibly, and there's yeah, so it's just a getaway, and I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, all stays on track, and we can go. But it's still very much up in the air because Dennis's work has said if you go and it gets on that list, you will quarantine for 14 days without pay. So
Oh, that's intense. Yeah.
so we have to take that into
I
account.
guess yeah. I mean, maybe it makes more sense to just stay safe. And
Yeah,
just go
I mean,
local.
it's currently not on the list, and my family, my sister and family are going to be up on the Cape that week too. So
Mhm.
we're gonna try to meet up with them and have dinner. So, and I have friends in the area too. So, yeah, so there's a little bit of anticipation there, but I'm not getting too excited about it yet until we're booked and we're going, and who knows, last minute we could have to cancel, who knows. So
That'd be annoying though.
that would be very annoying. So we'll kind of play it by ear.
Hmm.
But that's a little bit about Dennis and I. What about you? Anything socially going on in the dating world?
Absolutely not. I mean, I really need to invent a robot to swipe for me because it's like really tedious and I really want no part of it. And yeah, it's like not only tedious to swipe, it's also tedious to like have these initial conversations, and I'm like so over it. And
Yeah.
I just need a bot literally to swipe into initiate conversations for me because I really can't be bothered.
What when you look at profiles, what makes you swipe one way or the other? Like, I don't know which is the correct way to swipe. If you like someone, is it swipe right?
So it's swipe right if you like them, swipe left if you're not interested. So
Okay.
I try to be as quick with it as possible because I can't look at every profile. So usually I will swipe right just based upon I'm like, oh, this person like, do I find them like physically attractive? Which I know is superficial. And then kind of sort it out later. Like if we actually match, then I kind of look at their profile to see if this person's crazy or not. And sometimes I'm like, oh my God, this is like not someone I would want to even talk to. But yeah, I usually kind of, figure it out later.
Okay.
I don't know if that's like the best methodology, but honestly, I'll be totally honest. Like I don't really have a high match rate with people. So I don't I don't know how, where to chalk that up to. But so because of that, I'm like, I'm not going to spend all this time looking through the details of the profile. Let me just quickly go through it. If I find that even remotely attractive,
Right.
I'll swipe right, and then I don't know what other people do, but that's what I do.
Okay. I mean, so we've talked a little bit about this offline in our group of friends, right? About matchmaking. Like, what are your thoughts on kind of having an initial conversation with someone to kind of maybe suss out some candidates or to see if they could help you find someone? Because it's clear from what you're saying is that yes, you're kind of doing what everybody does, which is swipe right on the people that you find attractive, but then you kind of look deeper and you realize, oh, there's nothing there that you personally connect with.
Right.
So, and you're finding it mundane and like robotic and all of these things. Like, wouldn't it be, first of all, you haven't yet watched Indian Matchmaker. So
I have not. Oh my God.
I think that should be on your list of off-topic things to do, but that's my personal opinion, not but also the idea of maybe like seeking out someone to kind of help in the dating realm. I know it's not a top priority, but it's also it's not like you wouldn't be on the apps if you weren't actually looking for someone. So
yeah,
what are your thoughts on having some external help with that?
Yeah, I've thought about that actually, but I'm also like, I'm very miserly, so I'm like, oh, I don't want to spend money And I've known a few people that have tried it with limited success.
Okay.
So I haven't heard a lot of, I guess, success stories out of, gay matchmaking. But, maybe our viewers / listeners, whenever this episode is published, maybe they will have had really great stories about matchmaking. I don't know. And if, I would actually be interested to hear if people have had success with that route. I have been reached out by matchmakers.
Okay.
But then I'm like, it's weird because like, they'll kind of tell you a little bit, but then I'm like, is this a scheme? Are they going to try to, do they want my social security number?
Right.
And there's this one matchmaker that reached out to me. We talked a little bit, but he started like, and he actually just asked me for my phone number because he wanted to give that to his client. I'm like, can we just, chat over email or something first before I give them my phone number? Because I don't want some rando to call me. And he's like, the matchmaker was like, no, like we need your phone number for this to continue. And I was like, all right, I'm not very comfortable with
You
that.
want to sold on, yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to just email this person first. I wanted to start really slow, particularly if it's through a third party.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, I don't know. I didn't feel comfortable with that, and I didn't know. I mean, I looked up this person, like this matchmaker and his company, and they seemed legit, but I was also just hesitant, just giving my number to some rando.
Well, then, yeah, you got to really wonder, like, how does someone find you? Like, how did you come up on their radar? Like, you didn't reach out to them first. That seems, I totally understand your skepticism around that. I mean, that really would, especially in this day and age of, identity theft and ghosting and all of these things, catfishing, all of these things. I mean, that totally makes sense why you'd be cautious. But I think it's important I know this and your friends know this, but maybe our audience doesn't know. Like you're not looking for a hookup. Like you're looking for a relationship. And I think that that doesn't necessarily come from an app, although it can, and it did.
Hey, you and Dennis.
We met on an app. We did.
Met on an app.
So, I mean, it can.
He didn't even give you his real name at first.
That is true.
Am I allowed to talk about this? Or?
Sure. I mean, I don't. No, he did not.
Wait, what was his pseudonym that he gave you?
He gave me his middle name, and then when
funny,
which is what he used for his.
And then when he
hookup name,
and then we actually gave you his
number,
you were like, "Who's Dennis?"
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
so funny. So you never know,
right? It was that was funny. Yeah. So right, but you don't know. But also, I think that you've had a long enough time where obviously it's become mundane. Times are different now, right? It's not like it's not like you want to or you can go on a million dates because of social distancing, because of time, and the way the world is right now. I mean, it's just something to think about. But I think it's important for people to realize that, you're not swiping right for the latest hookup. You're actually looking for someone to have a relationship with. And I think that's different. And while it does happen for some people that they can make and find a relationship on an app, that doesn't always apply for everyone. And so I guess if our listeners wanted to reach out and had a recommendation of a matchmaker who they know has had success in the gay world, please do so. You can reach out to us at deepspacepride@gmail.com.
Or we can reach us through social media. I guess people can, message us about this.
Yeah, I guess you could. I'll leave the replying to those messages to you. But but
yeah, I think if I heard more positive case studies come out of it, it would kind of sway me. It's just I haven't really heard that many.
Yeah, and I think also getting a recommendation from someone who's been matched successfully by a matchmaker would also help, right?
Right.
I do think your story about them reaching out to you, like, how the hell would they find you? Like, it's not like you submitted your information on a form somewhere. And
so what happened was, it's actually very odd. So I matched with someone on Tinder,
Okay.
and then it's like this guy, and then he starts the communication, and then he's like, I'm a matchmaker. I'm like, oh, okay. So that's how he reached out.
Interesting.
But I don't know what kind of prerequisites he's looking for. I mean, I'm sure his client is like, I want someone that's XYZ, and that, you know, that's how he's determining who he's swiping right on, and then using that. It's interesting, the methodology that they're using to like find people. But I still kind of felt weird about it, you know, and I felt weird about giving someone my number, and that's where I stopped. So
yeah, right. Well, the other thing too, and I mean, if you are concerned about that, I would, you know, one of the things that I did,
get a burner phone. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, essentially, you can get a Google Voice number for that sort of thing, and you know, you can put it on Do Not Disturb on your iPhone, and let things like that go to that voicemail for now.
Voicemail.
And it does text too, so I mean, there is that option. But yeah. So yeah.
Next time
you match with a matchmaker on Tinder.
Yeah, very specific.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting. Yeah. So I'm wondering, and this maybe you don't even know, was the picture of the matchmaker or was the picture of his client?
It was the picture of the matchmaker, because he sent me a picture of his client.
Oh,
later.
Okay. What did you think about the client?
Meh.
Okay. All right. There you go.
Yeah.
Well, then that's also a reason not to give someone your phone.
Well, I want to, like, you know, I'm trying to keep more of an open mind in terms of people, you know, who I go on dates with and things like that. And, you know, like, I was just like, okay, you know, I actually did respond to the matchmaker and said, you know, I'm willing to start a conversation. But then, you know, he asked me for my number, and then that's where I felt a little comfortable. And that's when I had the back and forth and was like, oh, I'd rather communicate over email first to see if there's any sort of, you know, common ground. So.
Yeah, so I think you should watch Indian Matchmaker, just because I think it'll give you a little more context as to what a professional matchmaker actually does. I mean, they would provide you with like a dossier of a person, and you could, you know, and they get to know you, so they get to know what you're looking for, and then they can search based on that. I think that's. I mean, I've never seen your Tinder profile, so I don't know what kind of information
you haven't.
On there. I haven't. I'm one of the few people who have not passed around your Tinder profile. So yeah. But anyway, yeah. So that's anything else going on in your life that?
No, I mean, like, well, I'm like, you know, spending a lot of time with my plants. I'm becoming like a plant lady right now. So I'm like, I have like 2 terrariums. I have 2 aquariums, 2 terrariums. I have like some like cacti. Oh, interesting. So I actually got like a pitcher plant for my terrarium. Like, do you know like what a pitcher plant is?
I do not.
A pitcher plant is a carnivorous plant. You know, like a Venus flytrap, right?
Yes. Okay.
So a pitcher plant is in that vein where they live in poor soil, so they need to eat bugs in order to get nutrition. So they literally form a pitcher, it's a small pitcher that's filled with digestive liquid. Bugs fall in and they die, and then the plant digests the bug. They actually literally, it's a leaf that actually forms a cup. It's very interesting, and it like emits this nectar smell. So bugs are drawn to it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's how. So yeah, I got a pitcher plant for my terrarium. I'll show you eventually, but it's interesting. The genus of these pitcher plants is Nepenthe. Like episode from Picard. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's interesting because the planet Nepenthe is actually, I think, at least from what I recall from the showrunners, in terms of, you know, it's like, what is it? It's like some sort of medicine for forgetfulness or something like that. Do you remember?
I don't remember. Yeah.
In terms of the origin of Nepenthe.
Right. Yeah.
Which I think kind of speaks to like trolling Riker's like, why they went there or something like that.
Yeah, it's
But
definitely
it's
for
also the
healing.
genus of this picture plant. Like, it's so random. Nepenthe.
Oh wait, but
Nepenthe.
there was also something else because they did take their son to that planet for
Right,
healing.
because, yeah, he
So it
needed
wasn't just
healing.
So
Yeah.
there was some aspect of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright.
So I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
what I'm talking about it. But yes, I'm becoming like a plant lady. I'm gonna get cats.
Well,
soon,
maybe we
so-
should throw a picture of the pitcher plant on our social media so you all can see what we're talking about.
Yeah, maybe for the promo for this episode, I can do that. So
Yeah,
it wouldn't be
absolutely. Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. I guess that's it for this episode. So, like Mike, you were saying, people can reach us through email at deepspacepride@gmail.com, and they can also reach us on Twitter and Instagram. Our handles there are simply Deep Space Pride.
There we go.
So I think that's it for
next
this
week.
episode.
Next week we'll talk about the next episode of Lower Decks and what we've been Star Trekking since then. Probably
And more
a little
off topic.
More off topic. Yes, we'll clearly have some updates on some off topic stuff. Probably not a lot of change in what we're Star Trekking since we're both Star Trekking a series.
It's like multiple seasons.
Yeah. But
Enterprise is only like 97 episodes, so
there you go. Well, and I am not watching I am picking and choosing my way through Voyager season 4 right now. So
okay.
I am not watching every episode. Because it's not my thing. I think I'm actually gonna skip a couple and get to the Omega Directive next. So
wait, so are you still on season 3?
No. This is season 4. This is Seven's first
4.
season. Yeah, Seven's first season. So yeah, I think I'm gonna jump ahead to Omega
right.
Directive next.
Season. Yes, I'm sorry, season 4.
Yeah. So
I would be interested to hear. Did you watch Mortal Coil, the one where Neelix dies?
Where what?
Where Neelix dies?
No, I don't think I have watched that. Was that from season 4?
Season 4. That one's interesting. Do you remember that episode?
I do not actually.
So
I probably did watch it in first run, but
I think it's later on season 4, maybe early season 5. But
no, I skipped over it actually.
Oh, I think you should go back to it. I think it's interesting.
Okay.
You know what? I'm not going to spoil it. I mean, Neelix dies, but he doesn't stay dead. And it raises some philosophical questions.
Okay,
So,
interesting. I
go
might
back
go
to
back. Yeah, that's interesting. I did. Thank you. That's a good call out. I'll go back and watch that one, and then I don't know. The Killing Game doesn't really sound that exciting. I mean, they turn the ship into a massive holodeck, so
Yeah,
I don't know. I've kind of I could give or take the Hirogen. I'm not that fascinated with them. And then
take it or leave it.
Yeah, take it or leave it. It's not. I mean, yeah, they're big and
They're
they're bad, and they're the villain of the season. Whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, but Omega Directive comes up, and
I mean, honestly, after the Borg and Species 8472, the Hirogen, like whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And then we get to the end of the season is Hope and Fear, which is when they get that. I think that's the one where they get a new starship that's going to take them back to, but it's a trap, right?
Oh, wait. Is it that
Arturus is the character that they...
It's when they like... It's like this other ship that like basically is like draining these other organisms for fuel or something.
Oh, no. I was thinking... no, this is the... I don't remember what it's called, to be honest. The Dauntless? Is it the Dauntless? The Annex 1A or O1A? I don't know.
Oh, is it the ship that can split into 3?
No, that's the Prometheus. That's Message.
Oh my God.
Otto. No, this one's the one with transwarp, not transwarp, but hyper or slipstream drive or whatever. I think it's yeah, but it's an alien trap. I'm pretty sure. So.
Okay. I think I'm getting confused with Equinox.
Yes, you are definitely getting. Yeah, Equinox is even smaller than Voyager. It's like a.
But that's a ship. Wait,
No,
I don't remember. Oh my God, I'm like conflating all these like cliffhangers.
You are.
whatever.
Anyway, we'll talk more about Voyager next week.
Okay. All right.
We should probably wrap this up and let our viewers go. They know how to reach us. We hope to hear from you on any of these topics. And
Yes,
if I've
including
missed
any matchmaking successes.
yes, and if I've missed any season 4 Voyager episodes that you absolutely love that I should watch, I will probably jump back to Mortal Coil and then jump ahead to the Omega Directive, and then probably pick and choose a few. Oh, there's Living Witness coming up, and then the others I don't know.
Oh, Living Witness is really good.
Yeah, I think I've seen that.
Another Doctor episode.
Yeah, I think I've seen that more recently than anything else. But anyway, thanks for joining us on this episode of Deep Space Pride.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Deep Space Pride is a production of Coconut Media Works. Executive producers Bill Smith and Dan Davidson. For more great Star Trek discussion, discover the other shows of the Trek Geeks Podcast Network at trekgeeks.com or find us in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app.
Coconut.